right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
Students sickened. Tonight, the scare at Sumner serving as a warning for marijuana edibles.
Gusty winds and mild weather. How close we come on Friday to the record high temperature and the changes happening this weekend.
Our top story, it was a shocking school fight caught on camera. Tonight, the teacher who says she was attacked by a student is talking only to 5 on Your Side.
I kept thinking, where is somebody to help me? There was nobody to help me.
The Normandy High science teacher has been on unpaid leave for nearly a month as she recovers from her injury and the trauma. Good evening, I'm Mike Bush.
I'm Kelly Jackson. New tonight, 5 on Your Side's Brent Solomon is the only reporter that teacher is opening up to. Brent.
Kelly, Mike, Cheryl Rogers actually retired from teaching back in 2022. She says colleagues begged her to come back into the classroom due to a need for science teachers. She did, only to find herself in a situation she'd never experienced in her entire career. We first shared this video with you last month. A student and teacher involved in a brawl outside a Normandy High classroom.
I was just thinking, the students that were standing around, nobody intervened to help me. Nobody helped me.
For the first time, Cheryl Rogers, a teacher of more than 20 years, is opening up about what happened.
She kept hitting me. And when I fell to the floor, she just kicked me. Still have bruises on both of my legs. The scars on my hands have healed, and I still have headaches.
She says it all started when a student who came to class but then left to cut class eventually came back to retrieve her book bag.
She was already angry, and I just happened to be the target.
I was shocked to see that she was literally being assaulted.
When her significant other, Gregory Stanton, got wind of what happened, he left work. He's been there in the weeks following the situation.
I've seen some changes. She's normally a bubbly, high energy person, not as sharp. As far as if you talk long enough, you'll see that sometimes she's searching for words.
Police have said they would seek criminal charges against the student through St. Louis County juvenile courts. As Rogers fights to get past the trauma, the veteran teacher is still in a state of shock.
I was trained to respect my elders. And I don't think that's going on anymore.
We reached out to Normandy Schools for an update on its investigation. We're waiting to hear back. Loved ones of that teacher have set up a GoFundMe to assist with her medical bills. You can find a link on ksdk.com.
Thank you, Brent. Tonight, a manhunt continues for the man who shot a Metro East police officer. We just checked with Granite City Police. They're still looking for Donald Freeze. Officers were called to a home on Delmar Avenue last night for a disturbance when the shooting happened. Freeze is a convicted felon who has previously been charged with second-degree murder.
Even though he's on parole, probation, whatever, he's not going to adhere to the rules because that's not the way he's structured. That's not the way he thinks.
The officer was shot in the arm, is recovering at home tonight. It is believed Freeze was hit when officers returned fire. If you see him, call 911.
Take a look at the man in this picture. The major case squad says he's a person of interest in a deadly shooting in Cahokia Heights. The victim, Bradford Reedus of Memphis, Tennessee, was found shot inside a home on Mildred Avenue yesterday morning. If you recognize this man, you're asked to call the major case squad. That number is 618-332-4277.
Tonight, a man is dead after being hit by a car in North St. Louis County. It happened about 3 hours ago on New Halls Ferry Road near West Florissant. Police say the man was crossing the road when he was hit. The driver remained on the scene. Tonight, 10 students at Sumner High School are recovering after they suddenly became sick to their stomachs.
School officials say the students ingested gummies that may have contained marijuana. Robert Townsend reports one student is now facing disciplinary action.
About an hour and a half before classes dismissed for the day at Sumner High School, an emergency broke out Wednesday.
But classes went on as normal.
Still, the spokesman for St. Louis Public Schools, police, and fire officials descended on the North St. Louis High School. It's after 4 students were taken to a hospital as a precaution after eating gummies that may have had marijuana in them.
The children who ate them, they became, again, nauseous, didn't feel well. It started with 2, then 2 more.
Sales says 6 other students who ate the edibles complained of stomach pain, were checked out on the school campus and picked up by their parents. The students were sophomores, juniors, and seniors.
I don't know the exact breakdown, but everybody is okay. Everybody is alert, feeling fine. Nobody was badly injured or anything like that.
Of course, a big question is, how did those students get their hands on the gummies in the first place? The school district spokesperson says another student brought those items into this school after reportedly buying them from a nearby convenience store.
Health effects associated with THC can be wide-ranging.
Nicole Dawsey is the executive director of Prevent Ed. The community health agency works to reduce or prevent the harms of alcohol or other drug use through education, intervention, and advocacy.
But if someone has too much of that THC substance, it can really interfere with the body's ability to function. That's not just thinking clearly, but that also affects heart rate, that affects their respiratory, their breathing.
As for the Sumner student, now in hot water,
that student will be dealt with according to the SLPS Code of Conduct.
Robert Townsend, 5 on your side.
A St. Louis jury has found a man guilty of killing his ex-girlfriend and her 2 young daughters. Ronald Marr was convicted in the murders of Kenesha Hemphill and her 8-year-old daughter Journey and 1-year-old baby Jakari. All 3 were found dead, shot to death inside their Dutchtown apartment back in February 2021. A teen is now being charged as an adult in the murder of a man in Keener Plaza. Alfonso Miller was 17 at the time of the shooting last April. He's now charged with first-degree murder in the shooting death of Darius Mullins.
Tonight, a group of St. Louis advocates are back in Washington, D.C. It is their 3rd trip in 6 months to get much-needed help for St. Louisans impacted by nuclear waste.
Educating and pleading for, help from, the government's radioactive waste legacy that's impacted this entire nation.
They're lobbying to get the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, known as RECA, attached to a bill. If passed, it would compensate radioactive waste victims. Tomorrow, they will join other advocates across the country on Capitol Hill for a news conference to raise awareness.
Developing tonight, a Chicago judge is allowing a lawsuit to move forward to remove former President Donald Trump from the Illinois ballot. A hearing has been set for next Friday. The lawsuit argues Trump is not eligible for his role in the January 6 Capitol riots. Last week, State Board of Elections voted unanimously to keep him on the ballot, saying they don't have the authority. Tomorrow, the U.S. Supreme Court will begin hearing arguments on a similar case out of Colorado. A hotly contested race for Congress is less than 6 weeks away.
Republican Congressman Mike Bost rallied voters in Albers tonight as he tried to ward off a primary challenge from Darren Bailey. Our political editor, Mark Maxwell, has been covering this contest very closely. Mark.
That's right. Tonight we saw Mike Bost play to his strengths. The Marine veteran on stage at a VFW hall with 2 Texas Republicans, highlighting the border and immigration. And you could start to tell that Darren Bailey's negative attacks were getting under his skin.
Primaries are tough.
Congressman Mike Bost defended himself Wednesday night from Darren Bailey's attacks.
My opponent has misled voters on my record since the first day announced.
Bost told a packed VFW hall to check his voting record.
I voted to build a border wall, protect the Second Amendment, and end the woke nonsense in our schools.
The Marine veteran brought a Navy SEAL and Rear Admiral as reinforcements in his primary fight.
If it ain't broke, you don't fix it, right? And this man should not even have an opponent.
2 Texas Republican congressmen backed Bost as a bona fide conservative. Congressman Morgan Luttrell said if Bailey beats Bost,
would be catastrophic to the party.
Former President Trump's physician and initial pick to lead the VA, Ronnie Jackson, criticized Freedom Caucus member Matt Gaetz, who's backing Bailey.
And it's easy to get up there and be part of the no caucus that says no to everything.
Where does the race go from here?
I don't want to go negative on my opponent. I don't. I know things, but I'm not going to do that.
Bost says Republicans should stay united.
Our true enemy in these races are Joe Biden and the Democrats.
Oh, I'll vote for Mike Bost.
This voter made up her mind after talking to Bailey at a separate event.
And he wasn't really up on it, you know, and I don't know. He's been more an Illinois politician.
I think he's a fine gentleman, but he doesn't have the experience and the knowledge of the bureaucracy, especially the Veterans Administration, that Mike has.
Retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Phil Henning feels as the head of the VA committee, Bost has his back.
Mike has taken personal charge of the committee, and they have revamped the claim system, and the claim system for disability has been sped up quite a bit in the last 8 years.
Bost warned voters Bailey would essentially become an outgrowth of the Matt Gaetz wing of the GOP, more interested in disruption, popularity, or fighting over the speaker's gavel than doing work. And you could see some of those raw divisions still left over from the House on display tonight when Congressman Ronnie Jackson suggested that fellow Texan Chip Roy might need a code red beatdown like in that movie A Few Good Men, perhaps not what voters had in mind when they wanted to send a fighter to Congress.
Inflation is taxing on your budget. Now some tax relief is on the way.
You don't feel the pinch of more tax dollars flowing out of your income.
The 3 ways Uncle Sam is helping you make ends meet. A real-life Spider-Man spotted on the Las Vegas Sphere.
This was probably the quickest climb I've seen him do.
The cause behind the superhero stunt that has him in trouble with the law.
Windy and warm may transition to wet and white by early next week. We're tracking the big changes ahead this weekend.